our talk is thinking beyond tactics. You know, you both had managers that I don't know if tactics would be the first word you'd associate with them, Ger Lucknan and Brian Cody. But I'll start with you, JJ, first of all. Brian Cody was often accused of never doing tactics, and yet Kilkenny played some of the most tactical hurling we've ever seen. So what was he like as a gaffer, first of all?
He was, look, again, a phenomenal man, really, first of all. He gave the players a lot of freedom to go out and play there as well, and he put a kind of a structure in place more than that, and that hard work, and honestly, that's your first and foremost. And again, it's all about the pride in your jersey and the pride of actually playing with Kilkenny. That was his remit when he came in 99, and that's till this day now. That's still his principles doesn't change, you know. So it's kind of thing now as a player that you can't but help but buy into as well, like, you know. And he'd give you again. He asked Tommy Welsh now, his famous saying when Cody gives him tactics: just go out and hurl, express yourself, which is a huge thing for a manager to give to any players, to go out there and express yourself, because he's backing what your ability is, your instinct. He gives you the trust to say, yeah, I'm going to make the right decision, not just from your own individual game, because that doesn't matter. It's about making the right decision for the actual team itself. And again, with Kilkenny, we were very, very lucky. We had no egos in the dressing room whatsoever. It was all about the team. The 115, and you were absolutely blessed when you got to the 115 jersey, and the guys that were on the line, they were mad to come in, and we were just lucky that we got to start an opportunity against a few of the lads, because the likes of John Tenson, James Ryle, these guys are absolutely phenomenal players, and they would have been any other county team. And in my own heart of hearts, I knew if I didn't up to me standards that they'd be in, and I'd be sitting down and look at them, and all you could be, even if that did happen, you'd have to take it on the chin, move on, and try and get back into the training session again. But again, yeah, you were talking about Brian there. He wouldn't really, outside of the camp, he wouldn't talk about tactics too much. But then again, he gave freedom to players. And when I was wing back, the amount of times I turn around, I'd see Owen Larkin behind me. I think I was playing full back, and then Colin Fennelly was in hooking the lad against Tipperary for the goal.
With his head.
With his head, yeah, he put his body in the line. But like, that's, Brian didn't tell him to do that, but he didn't stop him doing that either, you know, that kind of way. So everyone was working towards what the right thing is for the team, that particular application.
I'd say when you switched full back, JJ, you were delighted to see so many bodies dropping back in front of you.
So the more the better.
But you know, he gave the impression that he was very strict and stern and all the rest of it, but yet if you talk to lads who've retired, you hear stories of when you went away to Carton House, you had your own soccer matches and penalty shootouts, and of course Henry Shefflin would probably be winner takes all, and that be prizes for the winners. So did that kind of half foster a team spirit without a label being put on it?
Yeah, it was absolutely huge, and I think what garnered the team spirit more than that was the team holidays as well. When you won the All-Ireland, you go away for a team holiday, and it wasn't only yourselves, our girlfriends went as well, our wives went, and it was gathered the whole panel there together, because say your wife would get on with ex-wife and they'd work away together, and that would, you'd 6 or 8 people go around there together, and you go out that night, social aspect of the whole thing there as well, and you get to know not only the player a bit more.
Did you say ex-wife?
Ex-person's wife. Right. Sorry, ex-wife. We weren't that close to the panel now, bringing the ex-wives. But
that's why, no wonder team spirit was so high.
It wasn't the keys in the ball kind of a job right like that now, but it was just, you get to know not only the player, but their better halves a bit more better too, like, you know, and that'd make the whole thing a lot more better again after games too, like, and it just, the whole thing created that thing. And yeah, 2014, I suppose, David Herdy was the first one to put in the WhatsApp group into the Kilkenny panel, and he got Henry on the WhatsApp. Now he got Henry's on Twitter now, he's on Instagram, he's on everything now, so you can blame David Herdy for the amount of social media Henry's on at the moment, you know.
Jamsie, then you had the great Ger Lucknan, and from a basic level you hear about the runs up Cratloe Hill and Mike Mack and guys getting sick on each other, but at the very, very back of it, when you strip it all away, it has to be character forming. You know, go back to maybe to the start of his regime. What was he like as a personality and as a force, as a manager, when he first walked into your dressing room?
A lot of us would have known him. Damien would say he was over the 21s in 91 and 92, and we got to a famous Munster under 21 final in 92, and we lost, and he was shafted afterwards and kind of sacked or whatever, and we had probably a better 21 team the following year, right? So 93, as we were beaten, I think, in the semi-final by Limerick, and the setup was poor and the training was very, very poor. And I was on the senior panel, and we lost the senior final to Tip that year. But we have a shop in Ennis, and that summer, late in the summer, I was in the shop upstairs in the office or whatever, and Lognan landed in and asked was I around or whatever, and came upstairs, and we had a conversation upstairs. But the bottom line, Damien, was that he was sounding me out. You know, how I felt about him, how I felt about the training the previous year, and I probably told him what he wanted to hear, which the training had been brilliant with him the previous year. We were very lucky to lose the 2-1 final to Waterford. They went on and won the All-Ireland. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed the training. You know what I mean? But I didn't know at the time. It was 20 years later I found out that he was having the same conversation with Brian Lohan. He picked Lohan up, I think, in Shannon or in Limerick one day. Lohan was coming out from college or something, and in the car, I think he told Lohan that, you know, he'd be full-back in the Clare team, and that this guy, Shawnee McMahon, that Lohan had never heard of, was going to be centre-back. And that was long before it ever happened. So he was hatching a plan probably, and especially his political manoeuvring to do, you know, that he'd been, as I said, sacked as 21 manager, and he found a way to get himself into the backroom team in 94. Len, I think, gradually handed over a lot of the training to him, the coaching, because he saw how good he was at it. And Lognan then had the plan in place where I think it was railroaded through that he'd be appointed senior manager when Len stepped down, you know. So in that sense, hugely intelligent, massively intelligent, and probably saw the bigger picture a long time before anybody, you know, knew what was going to happen.
We'll go back to what he did with you guys, but one question that strikes me: this conference is all about coaching for well-being. Could he, despite all he achieved with Clare and for you guys and how good he was in the media, could he survive or thrive in the modern era, intercounty management?
Ger?
Yeah.
I think he'd adapt. Yeah, I think he'd adapt. But it's. I mean, I was talking to Damien during the week, and you know, just talking about well-being, and I told one story, I would say, where we won the All-Ireland Club in '99, and we got back to the All-Ireland Club final again in 2000, and we lost the All-Ireland Club final, and I was absolutely sick of hurling at this stage. You know, we'd kind of gone through 97, 98, 99, would have been either been in the final or the semi-final. I've been through 3 really long club campaigns, you know, where again we'd either got to county finals or we'd, you know, gone all the way or whatever and been beaten in All-Ireland Club finals. And in, I'd say it was after the All-Ireland Club final in 2000, you know, I was coaching teams in Flanagan's Inn as a teacher, and I just needed a break. I had no appetite for no freshness. And he called myself, Shawnee McMahon and Ollie Baker to a meeting in Ballyline. And I was sure going to the meeting that he was going to say, right, lads, you know, we're going to give you a couple of weeks off, maybe send you to the Canaries for a week or something and recharge the batteries and then go hard at it. So I went out to this meeting or whatever, and I was positive mood going out, and he tore strips out of us outside. That he'd met Mick O'Dwyer somewhere, and Dwyer had been ranting, I think, about tiredness and fatigue and all the rest of it. And look, at the bottom line was that it wasn't hard enough we were training. And I remember leaving Crusheen that night nearly in tears, and in my own mind saying, no, he's probably right, he's right. And it's one of the regrets I have now, that I didn't say, listen, Jerry, you're wrong. I'm sick of it, I need a break. I'm not fresh, I have no appetite for it, and I need a break. And as I said, I should have made my mind up at that time, you know. And I think that's one thing, you know, about coaches, that sometimes, you know, you can meet somebody and you can be swayed by what they say, when I think you have to trust your instincts a little bit more. And I think if he had trusted his instincts a bit more, it maybe would, but we maybe did need some kind of time off just to recharge the batteries or some kind of change of scenery. So in that sense, he got it wrong that time. I got it wrong in not telling him as much and telling him I'm taking a break, I'm sick of it, I'm no good to you otherwise. And we were dumped out in the championship in the first round by Tip. We totally underperformed. We were a tired team, stale, and that was Loughnan's last year. I think, though, Demi, he'd adapt now, and I think, you know, Brian and Kilkenny is adapting.
You've got a very holistic management team at the moment in Donal Maloney and Jerry O'Connor, and they're as much centred on what the player does off the field as they are on it. But in fairness to Loughnane, he helped guys with careers and jobs as well, didn't he? It mightn't have been pushed to the public domain, but he did that, Jamsie, right?
Yeah, I think, look, there was one guy in our team I think was looking to go to the Guards, and I think he was going to fail the eyesight test. I think he was short-sighted. And I think, I could be wrong about this now, but as far as I know, Loughnane arranged the eye surgery, the operation, got it taken care of. And you know what I mean? That was so. I mean, look, there was definitely things that he did for fellas behind the scenes. And I'm sure Brian is the same in Kilkenny, where, you know, look at, they're smart guys, and if a guy is, I suppose, particularly important to the team, and there's something you can do in that guy's life, for example, a personal issue, absolutely, I'm sure, no more than Ger, that Cody would adopt that approach. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, just for my own personal experience there, I was in between jobs there in 2011. We were in Carton House there 3 or 4 weeks before the GAALearning against Tip there as well, and we were just had training weekend, training Saturday, training Sunday, so, or training Friday and Saturday. I was calling in Saturday morning to Mick and Brian Cody were there, and Quinn Martin at the time. And I was thought, Jesus, right, did I do something wrong in training yesterday? What's the story? And you call in front of the headmaster, you know, yourself, you thought you were in trouble, you know. But then he kind of sat down, and then he said, well, what's your plan? I said, well, I want to go on the team there. And no. I said, well, what's the plan? He said, what do you mean? He said, for the future, like in your job, you're in between jobs at the moment. What's the story? Like, and it was just, we had a conversation for 20 or 30 minutes just about what career path you want to go. Mick Dempsey was on about going back to college and whatever like that as well, because he was involved in Carlow IT at the time, like, you know, so something like that, look, stuck to me for this particular day, that 3 weeks before a match, the perception would be that you're thinking about the game, which I was personally, which probably very, very short-sighted, but they were looking at the well-being of me as, again, a player, and just have a plan in place for when the championship was over, which would have been 3 or 4 weeks' time, and then to get back into the working again and the aspect of the whole things. But that, I'd have to say now, it stuck with me that, again, that made me try extra hard for him, and there's a payback in that then as well. So he just doesn't see it as a number, and for that particular application, he went above and beyond for that, you know, the kind of way. And I didn't go asking for it, or I didn't expect that from at that particular time, but he took his time out of a training weekend, which was fully focused on taking back the GAALearning off yourselves, and we were all fully focused on doing that. But they took out half an hour that time just to kind of focus on me and my career path more than that, which is a huge thing. Like,
was that 2009 when the ball kept hitting PJ Ryan's arse?
PJ's up there now in the back corner, if you want to ask him.
We'll have a chat about it later, PJ. But you're always going to go out and give an extra few percent for that, JJ, simply because your manager treats you like a person. You might have watched Man United over the last season. They look to be a team stifled by tactics with the previous manager, who may be coming to the end of his curve, and they look like they've got a fair bit of freedom under the new manager, even though they're playing against weaker teams. But the question I want to ask you guys is, leaving aside Cody and Lucknan, if the manager, you don't fully believe in him or his team, do you fully believe in his tactics then? Or can you fully believe in him?
I think if he is genuinely himself as a manager or as a coach, and that's exactly what he believes, his philosophy in playing the game, I would believe in it, to be honest with you. But if there is guys' perception out there, there's a perception of Brian, there's a perception of Ger Loughnane as well, that they're very hard, they're very, very hard all the time. But they're not. Behind the scenes, they do break and they do talk normal to you there as well. So the perception of a manager, Ferguson is the same as a hairdryer treatment, famous saying about him. But I'd say he'd go through the wall for one of his players as well, behind the scenes. So there's a pathway of doing that there as well. So again, if a tactic that one of my managers would go on, and he fully believes in that, and you know by a guy, through his training sessions, through the way he talks about the actual tactics, if he believes in it, yeah, buy it 100%. But if if he's doing it for the sake of doing it, or if it's a fad at the particular time, get 2-man full forward or 3-man midfield or something like that, and we're doing it for the sake of doing it, you wouldn't really agree with it then. But if he fully believes in it, and that'll come true in his coaching and he's talking about the tactics, then yeah, 100% I believe in it.
And Jamsie, maybe Lucknane's primary tactic was to get you fitter than everybody else, but at what stage during the year did his psychology tricks start to kick in? And could you give me any examples of maybe little tricks he might have played on you just to get the extra bit of performance out of you?
Well, I mean, he you know, I suppose, look, we got fit to train, but I mean, you absolutely loved, you know, when the physical stuff stopped or whatever, and you went into Cusack Park, and that might have been in whatever, in March or April, and you know, the real fast hurling sessions started, but you had to be fit to play at the pace that he wanted you to play with. I mean, tricks, whatever. Listen, he just had that ability, I suppose, to I think always have his hand or his finger on the pulse of where you were. You know what I mean? And I remember, again, and you know, maybe people have heard this before. Like, there's a guy in our panel, Rusty Chaplin, who would have been left-handed and awkward and physically tough and a bit wild. And a lot of the time in training, I wouldn't be marking Daly or Liam Doyle; it'd be Rusty. And it was whether it was to toughen or harden me up, whatever. And it was a particular night in training, I don't know what year it was, 95 maybe, and a wet, greasy night. and it was spitting rain or whatever. And I remember Rusty had maybe cleared the first 2 balls or whatever that came down between us, and next thing another ball came down, and I think Rusty put me on my arse or whatever. But like, you were picking yourself up off the ground, gritting your teeth, just keen to absolutely ram it down your man's throat. And after that, I think I got about 5 or 6 points from play out of pure temper and nearly madness. But your man, sure, listen, you wrapped around his finger because he knew exactly what to say at the right time. And he was pressing these buttons the whole time, and the match would be going on, and there'd be a commentary going on. And I mean, the only time I ever remember him blowing the whistle, for example, in training was one night. Lohan was coming out, and he was off balance, and Fergal Hagerty or something hit him with shoulder, knocked him off balance, and the 3 of the forwards just surrounded him and practically wouldn't let him up. And your man was fumbling for the whistle in his pocket, blew the whistle, free and over-carrying, come on, Hago, you know what I mean? And Lohan was going back in, growling, and Eamon Taff or someone was going to get absolutely killed inside. But Loughnane knew that Lohan was going to be like a dog, and that was his. He had that ability to know, when fellas were maybe getting above themselves, and he'd cut you at the knees and bring you back down to earth and find different ways as best to get the best out of you. So, look, he was a psychologist probably ahead of his time, and probably Brian and Kilkenny as well. Good managers probably know what they have to do to get the best out of particular individuals.
Yeah, just a similar situation. It's funny the way you listen to Jamsie talk, and Brian uses the exact same thing where Colin Fennelly was in and Jackie Turrell, and Jackie, as Jackie would do now, would let fly, and Colin would take it. No free given, just Brian in the middle of the field shouting in, Jackie, don't do that. Colin, get used to it. That was the mentality, is that you're not going to get a free here now, so you might get it come to the match, but you're not going to get it in training.
Isn't the gas the way, like, they have so much in common as coaches, and then Cody described him as the lunatic from Clare, but they would have gone to college at a similar time, similar philosophies and stuff like that. But just stepping aside from their management teams then, Jamsie, you leaned on another kind of a coach throughout the years as well, who had a completely different outlook. Can you maybe tell the folks here about that guy?
Yeah, listen, I suppose, again, look, some people know, I mean, in 92, I was in college in Galway, and we were looking for somebody to coach the Fitzgibbon team, and I was captain, and I'd heard about this fella from Tipperary that was lecturing in economics, a guy called Eamon O'Shea. Now, I didn't know anything about Eamon O'Shea. He's from your club, Damien. He'd, I think, played minor in 21 for Tip. He'd won that Ireland Club in 86 with Kilruane. But it was probably the luckiest day of my life when I stood in front of that man and asked him to coach the Fitzgibbon team, because he went on to be a massive influence on me. And I suppose I think it was 90, just give you one story, 93, I was broken onto the Clare senior panel, Len Gaynor, we shocked Limerick in Ennis in the first round. They were National League champions, had high aspirations. We beat Cork, knocked Cork out in the semi-final. They'd hammered us in the relegation match, to relegate us in the league. They didn't see us coming, and we ended up in a Munster final. And I was playing wing forward. I was 20, not yet 21. Delighted. This was mighty first year in the Clare team, Munster final. But I remember going up to Galway before the game, maybe, just talking to Eamon, and I was playing wing forward, and Stephen Sheedy was centre forward, and the tactic was puck everything down on top of Sheedy, and he'd break it. And I remember Eamon saying to me, right, he said, first puck out, he said, just take off. The minute he pucks it, just take off. And just take a chance on it. And I remember the first ball, Fitzy pucked it down top of Sheedy. I took off. I was marking Rémi Ryan. He was flat-footed. Sheedy pulled, ball broke into my hand over the bar. And Munster final, you've got a point with your first touch, 3 minutes in, and you're up and running. And no one in Clare had ever said that to me before. You know what I mean? Or no one ever spoke to me about my movement off the ball or anything like that. And Eamon, as I said, was a breath of fresh air in terms of me thinking about my game. And I would have gone to him for advice that I would never have got from Loughnane. And I don't want to hug the thing now, but even lads late in my career, further on in my career, if I was struggling for form, if I wasn't playing well, coming back from injury, I'd pick up the phone to your man in Galway, or maybe take a spin up, and I'd invariably come home feeling better about myself, and having got something that suddenly had cleared some of the debris out of my mind. And I think, and I know Jackie in Jackie's book mentions about Brother Damien, and having that confidant as a player, just that mentor, that's somebody who has empathy and maybe can say the right thing. And as I said, for me as a player, Eamon O'Shea was absolutely invaluable in that regard.
JJ, is the trick then to maybe, if you have a manager with dictatorial ways or maybe strong views, to respect that and take that much from that coach, but to realise you can get information or maybe a boost from another way of thinking as well? with all the Kilkenny books that are coming out, Brother Damien Brennan's name is mentioned more and more. Did Cody trust this man to talk to you? Because I know he got rid of a lot of backroom people over the years. How did the Brother Damien fit in to the few Kilkenny lads that used him?
I used him myself as well, to be honest with you. PJ Delaney, clubman of mine, he was going out to him, and I was just chatting to PJ there one night, and we played a Leinster semi-final here against Dublin, and I wasn't enjoying the way I was playing, or we won the game, yeah, 100%, but I wasn't enjoying it. I was talking to PJ on the bus on the way back down. He said, just give Brother Damien a quick ring there and just have a chat with him, because like, I wouldn't say that Brian didn't tell us to go to Brother Damien or Brother Damien to go to us. It was just kind of a couple of lads done it, and then it was kind of a snowball after that then as well. It was just someone to talk to. It wasn't really a confidence boosting thing as well, because he'd ask you what you thought you'd score yourself out of 10, like, and you said, he's 7 or 8. No, you're a 3. I said, right, okay. He kind of cut you down straight away, but then he'd build you back up then afterwards, you know. So it was just a guy that I could speak to, and he'd no affiliation. He was just happy for me to be the best player that I could be, and the best person that I could be as well. He was big in having your life in order there as well, and if your life is in order, he was a big believer in that your game will play because you're in good form and you're enjoying going in training. All about enjoying what you do, enjoying your training, enjoying your life, enjoying your job. It's a huge thing with him. He's helped a lot of people now in Kilkenny as well, and I speak very, very highly of him too, to be fair. Like, but again, it was just a guy that it doesn't really, if Kilkenny won, he talked to the exact same as if Kilkenny lost, you know, that kind of way. So he had no affiliation on you being a better player. It was just you being a better person, and then hence you were a better player after that then as well. So that's where the whole thing came from.
Folks, we've 5 minutes left in the chat, so if there's any questions, maybe raise your hand and we'll try and get a microphone down to you guys. But just in that time then, Jamsie, we're at a stage where we're looking into an unprecedented year for hurling in terms of quality and unpredictability. What about your own county's chances? You know, will you come back, try and build on what you got last year? 2013 does seem a fair bit away, but last year showed signs of promise. How are you guys fixed this year, and what's going to make a difference? Yeah,
it's hard to know, Damien. I mean, it's so competitive. I mean, obviously we were, you know, if Aaron Shanahan had been the ball was a foot left or inches left or whatever, I mean, it might have been a different story. But you could say the same thing about Kilkenny against Limerick. You could say the same thing about Cork against Limerick, you know. So obviously the lads themselves know they're not far away. I mean, one thing I thought last year, our strength and conditioning coach did an unbelievable job, I think, in getting, you know, the team with no injuries, no muscle tears, and we were, you know, with a full panel to pick from all the time. So if we can stay injury-free, you know, you'd like to think that, look, we're not going to be too far away. You know, I think, can we find the 1 or 2 players we need to find? Conor Ryan's brother's a good young player. He showed up, I think, well in the Munster League so far. You know, you'd like. I think we have to win our home matches, Damien. You know, we've Cork and Tip coming, Dennis. If you win the 2 of those, well, then hopefully you get into the last 6, and from there, you know, anything is possible. And
Jamsie, with the way the pace of the game has gone, like, where exactly do tactics fit into hurling at the moment? Because an awful lot of it is kind of just react to the space that's being cut down or opened up in front of you, and you can drop men back and that. But I'm not so sure if you'll always win titles with that tactic. How do you see the evolvement of the game, the evolution of the game? I think one thing, Damien, that I saw from, and you know, sometimes working with Sky, you know, we get camera angles and footage or whatever. The one thing I saw from Limerick this year was the absolute progression, you know, in different aspects of their game. I mean, you know, I saw Cork do, for example, things in the puck out against Clare in the first round that Limerick were doing against Cork themselves in the All-Ireland semi-final. You know, we'll say where players coming into the middle and suddenly space down the flanks for Nicky Quaid to put the puck out. And I just thought with Limerick that, you know, you have to give it to the backroom team that it was, you know, if they didn't do something well in a particular match, it was fixed, you know, for the next game. I mean, for example, the goal chance in some of the matches that didn't take. Kilkenny's a case in point. They took those goal opportunities when they presented themselves later in the year. The puck-out strategy improved. So it's all about, I suppose, listen, it's denying space at one end, Damien, and creating it at the other, and that's evolving. But Limerick really impressed me in that sense, you know, last year in terms of how they seem to learn and improve on the fly as the season progressed. Is there much forgiveness then for Brian Cody while he rebuilds a new team in Kilkenny, JJ? And were you impressed by the level that they reached last year?
Yeah, I suppose, look, again, any county wants, or any team is looking for progression every year. And so this time last year, now we were looking at Kilkenny need around 5 or 6 players. Whereas now you're looking at 2 or 3 players and they're not too far away. Look at last year's championship, we brought Galway to a replaying Leicester final. Very unlucky the first day. Galway beat them well in the second day, all right. But, and then Limerick in the quarter final, Richie Hogan got the goal. We had kicked on there again. We'd say that John Donnelly was fouled near the end as well, but that's me Kilkenny hat on me when I was saying that too. But in fairness to Limerick, Tom Morrissey got a point near the end. He put up his hand, caught the ball straight over the bar. Huge statement from Limerick, that particular thing. Any other year, probably Kilkenny would have went on and win that game, whereas Limerick would have went home. But that was a huge, huge statement throughout the year. But no, I see the game time there for Paddy Deegan, cornerback, settling in very, very well. Great hopes, like James Maher, All-Star nomination, middle of the field. He's actually settled down that position, absolutely brilliant there as well. Richie Latty, now I'm expecting a big year out of him as well. He showed flashes of what he could do last year, scoring 3 or 4 points there when he was coming on, but he needs to nail down a consistent place, whether he's wing forward or midfield this year as well. So there is a few guys, Hugh Lawler starting full back now for Kilkenny the weekend against Wexford, so they're probably trying to see if they can get free up Pádraig Welsh out in the wing. If we can, it'll be a huge bonus, not only for defending for Kilkenny, but for attacking for Kilkenny as well. Like Pádraig would score 2 or 3 points from wing back every game, you know, that kind of way. So he's vital under the high ball there as well. So if they can give Hugh the league, or Conor Delaney's another option there as well, give 1 or 2 lads even 3 or 4 games in the league, and then if they can settle down with that position full back, we'll have to free up Pádraig then, and it's going to strengthen up our team savagely.
We've got a question, I think, from the floor. I can't see the hand, but if you have a microphone, shout away. I can see you there, far away.
Right. I suppose with the topic being looking at evolution of the game there, and well-being being the topic of the conference, just there from the previous keynote, they were looking at the youth forum, and there's too much emphasis on development squads. I'm coming from a weaker county in a hurling thing, and we're looking at, Sean Kelly had an ideal in 2005 with the Nicky Rackard and the Christy Ring being on before All-Ireland semi-finals, and that, can we head back there towards the evolution of hurling across all of Ireland? Because I know, I think JJ would have played in the 2005 semi-final. The Galway Kilkenny was an absolute shootout of goals. But there was a great senior, there was a poor senior Nicky Racker game on beforehand, but it helped develop county, it helped give counties a platform. So do you think there's a chance to head back there?
Yeah, I'd hope that actually would, to be fair, because again, especially when games in Croke Park, if you were in the final in any competition, Nicky Racker, he should be in Croke Park, and he should be before a big crowd there as well. And it should be an emphasis on your training for the whole year for that, and get to the big game with a big crowd. Because just remember when I was hurling minor myself, the first half you play the game, you come out at half time, then you're looking around, you're in Croke Park, and the whole stadium is full up, and you just can't buy that feeling. We're a full Croke Park as well. So why don't they deserve that opportunity is the question I'd be asking, and they're putting in a sacrifice, even probably more sacrifice as well, and in their certain counties as well. So I can't see no reason why they shouldn't happen, to be honest.
A final question for you, JJ. As the new Kilkenny team kind of takes the formation, Henry Shefflin is getting his managerial career up and running and looks nailed on as a future Kilkenny manager, if I'm allowed to say that. But could you always see that?
You can tell Brian Cody that if you want.
I can break the news to him. The first time to lose a match. Could you always see Shefflin as a future manager, JJ?
Probably one fear I had of Henry going into the management thing was that he had to realise that players weren't as good as him, but he's actually after grasping that now. In fairness, and grasping it very, very quickly. What he did, he put in a good background team there as well. His brother there, and Richie O'Neill as well. Richie O'Neill has a savage experience there with a couple of teams there as well, and Tommy Shefflin has a serious kind of background there as well. So again, a good manager has a good background team there as well, which Henry did put in place, and he was he's cute enough to know that as well, that he didn't have all the answers. He was kind of learning on the job, but you see the progression he did there during the year as well, and he's phenomenal first year. After winning what he's after winning is a huge thing there as well, but again, he's to manage the players what he has, and the management team, you have to trust your management team into getting your players in the right positions.
Yeah, because Ballyhale did look a little bit out of ideas there only up to a season or two ago. Last question to you, Jamsie, then. From your vantage point in St. Flannan's and your work with GAA committees and stuff like that, the young hurler coming through doesn't automatically stick with the game like he once did, does he? There are outside pressures there now. Could you maybe give the folks just a quick recount of your experiences as a teacher and a coach, will say?
Jesus, Damien. I suppose, listen, young lads, like now probably have options and choices, you know, that they didn't have when myself and JJ were kind of maybe coming up in terms of, you know, rugby, soccer, etc. So I suppose look at the challenge for us as coaches and as teachers is to make the product as good as it can be. You know, you've got to be organised. The training sessions have got to be enjoyable. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, if you can make it attractive enough and you're good enough at what you do, well then hopefully you know, you sell it to the players and you get them on board. I mean, they're still, I suppose what I'm seeing in Flannan's in Ennis is it's becoming probably a bigger challenge to you know, I suppose we took for granted for years, you know, the success. We're having to work an awful lot harder now, and it's harder to get the buy-in from the lads to give the commitment that's required maybe to be competitive, you know. But we're working hard, and it's just as I said, it's the standard seems to be getting ever higher.
Okay, gentlemen, thanks very much for your time and enjoy a great 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamsie O'Connor and the great JJ Delaney.